So I'm just going to go over a brief overview of CollegeConnect. If this is your first time with us, just so you know what we offer and our services. So I always want to stress that our advising services, everything we offer is completely free. There are programs out there that do actually cost money for the same kind of services. So always know that everything that we offer and that our partners are offering are free. And we are here to help students with post graduation goals. So whatever pathway you are looking into, or even if you're not sure, we're here to help you throughout that way. So if it's anywhere from community college, university, trade school, looking into different career pathways, military, any one of those things, we can help you out with that pathway here. And even though we are here at the city of Tempe, we serve anybody no matter where you live. So and it doesn't matter what school you attend either. Does not matter what age you are. We do, in fact, support students out of high school as well and adult learners. So we have an office at the Tempe Public Library. So if you aren't at any one of these particular schools you see at the Tempe Union High School District, you can always find us there at the library. But we do have some advisors also who are at the schools if you are a Tempe Union High School District student. So just a few things to know that what we can assist with, this isn't an exhaustive list, but these are the most common things that we tend to support students and families. Financial aid, FAFSA, applying for scholarships. We are going to have a scholarship workshop in December, so you'll hear more about that later on this year. We'll help you with college applications, applying for college, also career readiness. So if you need help with creating a resume, having someone edit your resume, if you have a job that you're getting ready to get an interview for and you want to brush up on some interview skills, we can help you with that. A really common thing we help students with, especially if you're not a senior, is college and career exploration. So those are some things that you can do before your senior year and even as a senior as well or beyond. And we are here to connect you with different reps. So if it's an admissions representative from an in-state university or Maricopa Community College District, we can connect you to those students because we know it can be overwhelming when you're trying to figure out who you need to contact. And so we have a plethora of resources that we can provide you with. I'm not going to read all of this, but just so you know, you can find this information on our website. We do offer some scholarships through CollegeConnect. So that first one I mentioned, CollegeConnect scholarship, anytime that you meet with an advisor or that you attend a workshop, your name will be entered that many times at the end of the school year for a drawing. So the more that you're involved, the more your chances increase to get a $1,000 scholarship. And there are 8 winners that are chosen for that. We have a few other scholarships depending on areas of interest that you have that you can find out more on our website. And those ones you will apply to and write up an essay for us that we will review. Lastly, we do encourage you to book an appointment with us. So if you go on our website, which is, we're going to drop it in the link for you there. It's tempe.gov /CollegeConnect, but you'll get a link that might look a little bit longer. That's an area where you can book an appointment with an advisor if you'd like to get some more one-on-one support. All right, so I'm going to get ready to introduce our first presenter here, Luke Red, who is with Access ASU. So if you want to just give me a moment, I'm going to put Luke's camera on here so you can see him. So 1 minute. All right, Luke, you are all set.
Okay, good evening, and thank you for having me. Can you move on to the next slide? I'm not sure if this is... Okay, perfect, yep. So I'm going to be talking today about the senior timeline and everything you need to do your senior year to prepare for college and make sure that you're ready to start college after you finish high school, if that is your plan. Specifically, the three main things I'll talk about are the senior checklist, which includes a lot of things that you'll need to do to make sure you're having a successful senior year of high school to be prepared for college. I will then also talk about some priority dates, which are specific dates you need to keep in mind during your senior year and get certain things done by these dates. And then I'll give you information on how to contact an admissions representative and what they can help with. Some of the information that I'll give is specific to ASU, but most of it works very similarly at any university. So this will be information that is useful even if you're not interested in ASU, but if you're interested in going to any college or university, most of this information is pertinent and will be helpful. I wanted to give you my contact information first. So there's my email if you want to write it down. I know if you are on here, you have some sort of connection or you've made contact with CollegeConnect Tempe, and they can help with most of the things that I can help with also. But for anybody who maybe wants a specific contact at ASU, or you have questions specifically for ASU, you can write down my information and you can contact me. I always respond to emails within 24 hours. So anything that's ASU specific, if you want to contact me, feel free to do so. Okay, so here's where the bulk of my presentation comes in on the senior timeline, and it's this senior checklist. And I'm not going to take credit for this checklist. This checklist was actually made by College Ready Arizona, and there was no point in us reworking it because it's really well done, and it includes all of the main things seniors need to keep in mind to prepare for university. So there's a QR code there at the top. You can get to it on your phone. I suggest if you are a senior or if you're going to be a senior next year, maybe save it and actually keep track throughout the year and make sure you're checking off each of these boxes and doing the right things. And then there's also a link that'll be provided to you if you want it that way. If it were me, I would actually print this out. I would keep it in my agenda. I would keep it next to my calendar. I would keep it somewhere where I'm always going to have all of these things in mind, somewhere that I look a lot when I'm organizing my time. And I'll talk a little bit through each of these now. So the first and foremost, just stay focused. Make sure you're making a plan, you have a plan, and you are doing what you need now to be able to carry out that plan later. One of the most important things you can do for that is make sure that you're talking to your counselor. So if you're a high school, any grade in high school, really, it's important to talk to your counselor at least every semester, I would say. But then especially when you're a senior, talking to your counselor to make sure that everything is as it needs to be for your high school graduation and for you to be ready for whatever your next step is. Your counselor will know what the requirements are for your high school graduation, to get into university, or whatever else it is that you want to do after high school. Your counselor is probably the best resource at your school to make sure that you are prepared for whatever your next step is. So make sure you are talking to your counselor. And then next, asking for letters of recommendation. So I think it's important at the very beginning of your senior year to really start to think about which of your teachers, or maybe if you have a job, which of your supervisors would be a good letter of recommendation for you, so that you're not scrambling at the end of the year trying to find somebody to write you a letter of recommendation quickly, because you'll need letters of recommendation for some university applications, not for ASU. But for scholarship applications, you will need it. If you want to do honors classes, you'll need it. So even if you're not sure exactly what you might need a letter of recommendation for, it is important at the beginning of the year to start to think about who could write you a good letter of recommendation and maybe ask them, say, hey, I'm not sure exactly what I'll need a letter of recommendation for yet, but will you write me a letter of recommendation? And they can, all teachers, supervisors, they're used to this. They can write you a general one, and then you'll be able to use it for applications and scholarships and many other things throughout the year, but it's good to have those ready. Next, for number 2, take math during your senior year. The most important part of this is just taking the right math class. So if you are not a senior yet, and maybe next year you're going to be a senior, this would be a good topic to talk to your counselor about, because a lot of schools, especially the big schools here in the Tempe area or in Phoenix, have different options for math for your senior year. And some of the classes might actually more closely align with what you're going to go major in college or a future career that you would want. So it's important that you don't just take any random math class or you don't just take the easiest math class. Think about which math class will help you in the career that you want or in what you're going to study in college. And a lot of those sometimes could be dual enrollment. They could offer you college credit and get you ahead once you get to university. So make sure you're taking the math class that is right for what your goals are, if you have options for that math class senior year. Next, apply to college in the fall. So I cannot stress how important it is that you do this in the fall. A lot of students wait until February, March, April, even May to start to apply to colleges, but you're going to have a lot easier of a time if you start to do it now. It'll just give you a lot more options. It'll take away a lot of the stress. And we'll see on the next slide, once we get there, some priority dates and what those offer you and why it's so important that you are starting to apply to colleges now. And then the second sub-bullet under applying for colleges is just checking if colleges require an ACT. A lot of colleges now are opting out of requiring students to take the ACT and submit scores for the ACT, but there are some, depending on where you want to go, that might require that. So just check that requirement, and if you haven't taken the ACT, make sure you take that if your college requires it. And then for number 4, FAFSA. You can't complete FAFSA yet. It opens up on December 1st, but I would suggest doing it as soon as you can, making sure to get that done in December. There's a ton of events for helping students complete the FAFSA. I know you can reach out to any of us that are presenting today, and we will either help you ourselves complete the FAFSA, or we will tell you exactly who can help you so that you can get that FAFSA done. It's very important to get that FAFSA done as soon as possible once it opens on December 1st. And right now, you can actually create your FAFSA account, your FSA ID, just to be prepared to be able to complete that FAFSA in December. To complete the FAFSA, you do have to have a social security number, and we know we work with a lot of students who might not have a social security number. And so if you are undocumented or you want to look at resources for undocumented students, at studentaid.gov/non-citizen, there's a lot of resources there. And I know CollegeConnect has other resources. ASU can also point you to specific resources, and there's a lot of resources. So if you can't do the FAFSA, we will still help you with finding other ways that you might be able to get some money for college. Number 5, scholarship applications. A lot of students I see and that I work with think that they can't get scholarships because they don't have a 4.0 GPA, and that's a myth. Almost everybody can get some kinds of scholarships. There's scholarships that are merit-based, which means they're based on how well you've done academically. But there's also some scholarships that are just raffles or for just doing certain things. Maybe if you've done a lot of community service. And there's other scholarships that you could get for writing a really good essay if you're really passionate about something and you write a good essay about it, or many other options. There's a lot of different scholarships out there, and we can all also help you find scholarships that might be good for you to apply to when you're ready to do that. And hopefully you'd be starting to explore scholarships right after you apply to the colleges during the fall time, because again, it gives you a lot more options if you do it as soon as possible. And I always say, and what the universities recommend, is to apply to at least 3 scholarships. So a minimum of 3 scholarships, but I would say apply to even more if you can. Any scholarship you're eligible for, apply to it. And if you write a really good personal statement, oftentimes you can use it for a few different scholarships. You're not redoing the work every scholarship. If you have a good set of materials, application materials, and a good personal statement, you can use those for a lot of different scholarships. And then when you start to get closer towards graduation, you're going to want to narrow it down. So you really want to explore all of the colleges that you've applied to and been admitted to and decide which one's the best fit for you. And there's many ways to decide what's the best fit for you. A lot of it comes down to where you want to be, what you want to study, and then also the financial aid packages awarded to you. So one college might say they'll pay for almost all of it, and another college might not offer you much money. So that's just a decision you'll have to make once you have all that information towards the end of your senior year. And then you'll have to be in contact with each of those colleges to talk about what financial aid was awarded to you, how to accept that, and then how to start the process of actually enrolling in the college. And then last, just celebrate. Going to college is a big deal. A lot of people don't do it. And if you are able to do that, it's a huge accomplishment already. So celebrate graduating high school, getting into a college or university, and then just taking your next steps and progressing in your life. And so again, that is the main checklist, and hopefully that link is provided to you. We talked a little bit during that checklist about some reasons why it's important to do things early. And here are some specific priority dates. So these are not final deadlines, but these are like the first deadlines for some certain programs in certain areas. And when you apply to these first deadlines or priority dates, you get a better chance of getting more. You get a better chance of admission or a better chance of getting more money out of these things. So that's why it's important to do these early. These that I'm going to talk about right now are some of them are specific to ASU and some of them aren't. But even if you're thinking of going to a different university like NAU or U of A or maybe out of state, they will also have priority deadlines probably that are similar to this. So I'll just talk about a few. First, admission. For ASU, the priority deadline is November 1st, and you get the maximum scholarship consideration if you apply by November 1st. And what that means is you have access to apply to all the scholarships that ASU has to offer if you apply for admission by November 1st. If you wait and apply later, there's going to be some scholarships that are already taken, and you won't even be able to apply for those scholarships. So that's why it's important to apply to the university or college that you want to go to as soon as possible. Next is FAFSA. FAFSA's priority date is May 1st, and it's for maximum financial aid consideration. If you wait until last minute, until you've already started college or until after the priority deadline for FAFSA, there's less money available for you to possibly receive. Same with the next one. The next one is a specific scholarship at ASU. It's the Obama Scholars Program, and the priority date for that is January 15th, and completing the FAFSA by its priority date. The next one, the AZ Promise Program, is actually it's a program that's at NAU, U of A, and ASU. It's all of our major in-state universities, and it pays for part of your tuition. And you have to apply for that by April 1st to be considered. And there's a lot of students who I know of actually that would have gotten this scholarship, but they applied after April 1st or decided to go to ASU during the summer because they didn't make a plan during their senior year, and they didn't get this money. It's money that they would have gotten if they just would have done it by this date. So that's why it's important to keep these dates in mind and do things early. And then the last one is for ASU's Honors College, which is Barrett Honors College. The priority date is November 1st for early action consideration. So again, it's a better chance of getting in if you apply by this time. And that's for students that, like, say in high school, you take a lot of honors classes. You're in advanced placement classes, dual enrollment classes. You like to be in those higher level advanced classes. You can do that in college too. And it's through the Honors College. So at ASU, you could do that. And I know that other universities also have their honors colleges, which offer the same opportunities, advanced and honors classes. And we can go to the next one. Thank you. And then the last thing that I want to mention that's really important, and this one is specific to ASU, but the other universities also have their version, and it's your admissions representative. So every university, they have admissions representatives, and these are people that are just helping students with the admissions process. And if you go to the QR code or that link that's there, it'll take you to a page that helps you find who your admissions representative is. There's one assigned to each of the schools and districts, or depending on where you're coming from. We have the arrows here of what you would click if you are going to, if you're in high school now and you're going to ASU, for example, for the first time, you'd pick undergraduate, first year student. whatever applies to you that you're in high school in the US right now. And then it'll actually pull up a picture of the person and the person's contact information that is your admissions representative. And they can help you with your application. If you have any questions about your application, they can help you with just general advising. If you have questions about anything that you need to do to prepare for college, about how you could better your chances of getting in, anything like that, they'll be able to help you with, even if you haven't applied yet. They can review the admissions requirements with you. If you forget what they are or you're not sure what you need to do to get in or to apply, they'll help you with that. And they can also help you in developing a plan for college. So even if you are not in the process of actively applying right now, but you just want to make a plan for college, and you've already worked with your counselor and maybe your teachers, whoever else, and you want to run it by another person or get some more feedback, your admissions representative can help you with that too. And then I think that was my last slide, wasn't it? Okay, yes. So, so just to review a little bit, the checklist for the senior timeline is something that I would really recommend printing out or keeping saved in a note on your phone, and throughout the year checking off that you're actually doing these things, and keeping in mind the dates and the time that you need to have each thing completed by to give you the best chance of getting into college, getting into the programs you want, and getting the most money for it. And as always, if you have any questions throughout the whole process, you can contact me directly. If I can't answer your questions, I will know who can, and I'll get you in contact with them. Or your admissions representative, as I said on the slide, or I know, of course, CollegeConnect will also be able to connect you with whoever you need to get the information you need. Were there any questions at all during this portion?
Looks like there's no questions for now.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all for having me. And you have my contact information. I really urge you to reach out if you have any questions specific to ASU. I would love to help. Thank you.
Luke, thank you so much for this information. I really wish I had this when I was a senior in high school. It would have been really helpful. And to your point, I do remember when I was all set to go to one school, and then last minute I changed my mind and I applied so late that I did miss those opportunities of like scholarships that I could have gotten. So important, even if you're not 100% sure, but applying for a few colleges there. And speaking of, if you're not 100% sure what pathway you want to go to, that's going to lead us to our next presentation here with Delana. We're just going to talk, focus more about if you're on the fence about thinking about community college versus university, and or what either one could look like, or both of them could look like. So again, I wish I would have gotten this information as well. As someone who went directly to a university, myself personally would have benefited from going to community college and then transferring over. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Delana, and I'm going to get your slide going here.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. My name is Delana LaForce. I am also with the City of Tempe, and I'm a Community Health and Human Services Coordinator, and I help support CollegeConnect. So like Adrian mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit about college and career pathways that you can take after high school. Okay, so here you'll see some options laid out for you for what you can do after high school. There's quite a few different paths that you can take. So you'll notice there's community college or university on there. For purposes of today's presentation, we're going to focus on those two things, but you'll also notice that there's a few other options for you, such as going into a trade program, going straight into the workforce, going into the military, or doing internship or volunteer opportunities. Okay, so community college. Typically, a community college you would attend for 2 years. So you would get an associate's degree if you decided to go to a community college. A lot of students will decide to attend a community college first and then transfer into a university, which is a really good way to save money and get those core classes done before you transfer to a university, because a university typically costs a lot more than a community college does. It could also allow you an opportunity to improve your GPA. Universities do have GPA requirements, so maybe you're not fully confident in your GPA and you want to really focus on your academics. A community college is a really great option to start off your post-secondary education. And then maybe you're not really sure what you want to do and you don't want to start at a university and pour a bunch of money into a degree that you're not really sure about. So a community college could be a really great way to just get started with taking some classes, maybe test out a few different things and see what you might like before you officially decide on what your major is. And then another really great thing about community college is it allows for a lot of flexible scheduling. So a lot of people who attend community college work full time, and so there's classes in the evenings or even some weekend classes, a lot more flexible than a typical university schedule. Typically universities, you'll be scheduled Monday to Friday during the day sometime, and then there's not as many classes on Fridays at a university. So there's different types of options at a community college when it comes to picking out your classes. And then there's also GED programs at community college. So if you haven't gotten your high school diploma and you want to focus on that as you're getting your college degree and taking classes, you could also get your GED. And then at the Maricopa community colleges, there's also ESL programs. So if English is your second language, there's a lot of different classes that you can take to help improve your English as you're going through and getting additional coursework. And then within the Phoenix metro area, there are quite a lot of different colleges. Maricopa community colleges offer 10 different campuses, so there's a lot of different places. If you are within the Phoenix metro area, there's probably one that's really close to you. So another thing to note about some differences with the community college versus a university, at a community college, there is no housing on campus. Because it is typically a shorter time that you'd be going to school. They don't offer any housing opportunities. So if you are interested in housing, university would probably be a better option for you. Another signature piece of community colleges is that it's smaller class sizes. So if you thrive in classes that are smaller, more quiet, community college might be a better option for you. A lot of times at the bigger universities, there could be really huge classes, especially with like those core classes that all students have to take. Sometimes there's hundreds of kids in a class. So that could be overwhelming to some students. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And then I touched on this a little bit earlier too, but attending a community college is significantly more affordable than attending a university. So that's something else to keep in mind. And like I said, it is more cost effective if you do want to get a 4-year degree to start out at a community college and then transfer into a university. So here's some different credentials that you could get at a community college. Certificates. So typically certificates will be a lot less coursework, but it can help you with different, there's different types of careers where you might need a certificate. And then it could take anywhere from 1 semester to a few semesters to get a certificate. And then what community colleges are most known for is their associate's degree. So typically it will take 2 years to finish an associate's degree. And then a new thing at Maricopa community colleges is they're now offering some bachelor's degrees. So if the programs they're offering are of interest to you, that's a really great option instead of going to a university just for cost effectiveness. And then the next slide has some examples of different programs and fields that you can get for each different level of credentials. So you'll see for certificate, some different options: veterinary assisting, cosmetology, welding, crime scene investigation, and then for that associate's degree, biological sciences, fine arts, and business. And then the bachelor's degrees that are currently offered are early childhood education, behavioral sciences, and information technology. Okay, moving on to discuss university. So university is going to be different than a community college. Typically, it takes 4 years to complete. College life is going to look a little bit different. So the campuses are going to be a lot bigger, spread out. Like I said, the classes are likely going to be more full of students. But there are other perks and benefits to attending a university. There's a lot of activities, a lot of events, different opportunities for students to get involved in things like community service, and then a lot of networking and career opportunities that can come from going to a university. A lot of like job fairs that might happen on campus, and then just getting connected to professors. Oftentimes they have a lot of professional connections because whatever they're teaching, they've worked in that field before. So a lot of opportunities to get connected to people in different fields. And then also universities, you would have access to different research centers, different labs, if that's something that you're interested in pursuing. If you're interested in like medical field or doing research, there's a lot of really great opportunities at universities. And then each university has different scholarship opportunities. So you might have access to more funding if you were to apply to a university because they all have unique scholarship opportunities. And then just personal reasons. So maybe you just really want that experience of being, more independent, being on a campus, living on campus. There's different reasons why university might be a better option for you. And then I think the next slide has some examples of credentials that you can get through a 4-year university. So typically, if you attend a university, the most popular thing to get is a bachelor's degree, which takes about 4 years to get. And then some people decide they want to supplement that with a certificate or a minor that's maybe like a little bit different than what you're getting your main degree in. Maybe there's something additional that you're really interested in. So you want to take a few classes in that and get a certificate or a minor. And then additionally, if you wanted to expand on your education, you can get a master's degree, and that would be an additional 2 years on top of the bachelor's degree. And then even further, if you wanted to get some sort of doctorate degree, that would be an additional 3 to 5 years on top of a bachelor's degree. And then medical would be even longer than that, probably closer to 6 to 8 years on top of a bachelor's degree. And then the next slide has some examples of different degrees that you can get. So you'll see for certificate, some things you can get are real estate, which is really popular, translation services or marketing. And then if you were to go for your bachelor's degree, business, different STEAM fields, education or health related degrees are really popular. Things like engineering are really popular right now. And then for graduate degrees, so if you wanted to expand on your bachelor's, you can go into law, medicine, physical therapy, or educational leadership. Okay, and then you can go back to that other slide. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. Just as you're thinking about what you want to do for college, think about how you can supplement that with real world work experience. So getting an education is really important, but it's also important that you can practice it and that you have some experience with that. So here's just kind of laid out some things that you can get involved in as you're a college student. So getting a job, working. I know sometimes you have a job because you have to be able to provide for yourself. But even then, that's something that you can put on your resume. You're still gaining a lot of skills by having a job. And then a lot of, especially universities, will require you to do some sort of internship. So that's typically it's short. It could be anywhere from like a semester long. Some internships are a full year long, but that allows you to get into a professional working environment and start to gain skills in the field that you're getting your degree in. And I know both community colleges and universities have different search engines on their website to where you can look into both internships and jobs. So after you get enrolled into college, I would highly suggest that you go on to whatever search engine they have on their website and see what opportunities are out there for you so that you could start gaining additional skills on top of your education. And then just additionally, if you're interested in volunteering, there's lots of volunteer opportunities out there for you. Maybe you don't want to commit to an internship or working, but you still want to get involved some way. I would look into your community and see different ways that you can volunteer. So here's just more of our information. If you're interested in meeting with an advisor to maybe explore more pathways, if that's community college or university, or maybe it's one of the other pathways that I mentioned earlier, they can sit down with you and help talk through different options, talk about financial aid, how you can support yourself through college, and just any other questions or things that might come up where you want information as you're planning for your future. Is there any questions? Oh, I see a question here.
We do, yes.
What
You-
if I want to transfer from community college to university? Like I said, that's a really great option. So what you would want to do is meet with a counselor on campus or some sort of advisor. They have people at both university and community colleges. And I would figure out what four-year degree you want to get so that you know what associate's degree that you can get, because certain classes need to transfer over correctly for you to get the degree you want. So I would meet with somebody at the school that you want to attend to figure out your coursework so that you make sure that everything transfers properly. And our advising team is really great about helping you plan that out. So if you do want to make an appointment, they can kind of look through the different community college websites and coursework with you and try and help you come up with a plan for that also. Any other questions before we move on? All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Delana. We really appreciate that information. Like I said, this information would have been really helpful for me as well when I was a senior. And we do hope that we'll see you again when we do our scholarship workshop in December. Because like Delana said, when you look at tuition costs, there is a bit difference. But another thing that you will definitely want to consider as well is how much scholarship financial aid that you may be able to get. So in some cases, if you get a really good scholarship, you could even get a full ride to a university. That might even be a better route for you in saving money versus a community college. But one thing to know is that there's no quote unquote right pathway. There's a lot of different options there for you that we can help you out with, and it's going to be what's going to be a best fit for you. So thank you so much, Delana, for that information there. Our last presentation for the evening is going to be on our Tri-University, some updates for U of A, NAU, and ASU. So I'm going to get our last speaker started here, Monique. So I'm going to go ahead and share your camera here, Monique, and get the slide ready for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. Good evening, everyone. As Adrian mentioned, my name is Monique Gomez, and I am a enrollment manager at Northern Arizona University, but I work with our other two institutions. So I'm here on behalf of Tri-University. We like to share that we are only enemies on game day. Well, mainly UA and ASU. But like I said, my name is Monique Gomez. I will be your presenter today, diving into a little bit more of reasons why you should stay in state. If we can go on to the next slide. All right. So it's no secret that Phoenix is actually now ranked, I believe is now number 5 in terms of like growing in all of the cities in the United States. So it's now ranked number 5 with Arizona coming in 6 as a state. So one thing we like to share with students is that there is a lot of opportunity offered at all of our 3 in-state institutions in terms of employment and degree programs for some of those career goals that students may have. So these, as you can see, are a snapshot of some of those career opportunities and internship opportunities here in Arizona. There are also degree programs that we offer at our 3 in-state institutions. And so what we really like to share with students is if you are looking to, get a 4-year degree, and let's say you're thinking about maybe whether you should stay in state or go out of state, there is quality education available here close to home for a fraction of that price. And some of these programs are, ranked nationally, some even globally from some of these institutions. So lots of great opportunity. Going on to our next slide. One of the other big reasons that we like to encourage students to think about staying in state is the value, right? So you get a quality education for that Arizona in-state college tuition price tag. You're also getting to stay close to home. We have locations all throughout Arizona where NAU is up in Flagstaff. We also have partnerships with the Maricopa Community Colleges. If you're not wanting to be in Flagstaff and your program just happens to be offered at one of our Maricopa Community Colleges. But then you also have ASU, and the ASU has their campuses located all throughout the valley. And then there's the University of Arizona in Tucson. And as I mentioned previously, these wonderful institutions also have highly rated academic programs. So again, you're getting that quality education for a fraction of that price. And so why should you consider a 4-year degree or even pursuing higher education in general? So great question. I'm glad you were probably thinking it if you haven't asked it already in the chat. So what we are seeing is that by increasing post-secondary enrollment, 20% could really improve that $5 billion in revenue for the state. So that opportunity to give back to your communities is really key here, as well as increasing your very own lifetime earnings by 1.2 million compared to those individuals that do not have a higher education degree. So not only are you giving back to your communities because you are now joining those workforces, maybe staying in state, practicing here, but you're also then increasing your lifetime earnings by having that degree, then obviously qualifying for some of those higher paying jobs. And with Arizona college students, it also benefits, like I said, society to improve your own lives with a degree, but also those of your community and giving back. In our next slide, let's talk about what those opportunities, so at our 3 in-state universities, what those opportunities are. So we, aside from the academic programs that we have and, pursuing your degree and diving into those academics, we also have opportunities for students to get involved in our honors colleges. So we have honors colleges located on all of our institutions. You are more than welcome to participate. They do require a separate application. So this is for students that are maybe be interested in adding in an additional layer of rigor to their studies. So if you were an honors student, AP student, IB student, even dually enrolled during your time in high school, or let's say you were neither of the above, right? But you're looking to challenge yourself a little bit more, this is a great opportunity to do that. You get to not only be a part of the institution, but you also get to form community with other individuals that want to be a part of this experience and would like to add that additional layer of rigor. It also does decrease your class size in half. So for example, NAU is recognized as being a smaller, the smallest institution out of the three. But if you were thinking maybe ASU, they tend to have larger class sizes because they are a much larger institution. And so with the Honors College, you're getting that opportunity to get that education in a smaller class size, also individualized one-on-one time with faculty. There are research opportunities that are very much tailored in the Honors College for students that are part of those programs. There's very unique options and opportunities for internship and research, study abroad as well. Residence halls are also honors based, depending on whether you are a part of the Honors College or not. You get that additional option available to you. So very much being a part of that larger university, but also within that small community to help network. So moving on to how do I get there? How do I apply? What do I need? So for all three of us, you will need to have these core classes. We call them the Sweet 16. Notice that there is a star on second language because that is actually not required for NAU, but it is for University of Arizona and ASU. So you'll want to make note of that. We always tell students that they should take it anyway if you're planning to apply to all three of us, because it doesn't hurt. Our links are located on this slide as well. It's really, really easy. asu.edu/apply, NAU.edu/apply, and then arizona.edu/apply. So we're looking again at those 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 3 years of lab science, and then 2 years of social science. 1 year must be US history, 1 year of fine art or CTE, and then that optional for NAU, 2 years of second language. And that's really all that it takes, right? So moving on to that GPA and the review process. So for guaranteed admission, for all three of us, we're looking at that 3.0 unweighted core GPA. For NAU, it's a 2.75 unweighted core GPA. And so this here is guaranteed admission if students do not have any deficiencies from core classes. So those were the classes that I was showing in that previous slide. Those deficiencies, what that means is you're not missing any classes. So you have all of the Sweet 16, what we like to call. Now, you fall into comprehensive review if, let's say, you're not meeting that 3.0. And this comprehensive review looks really different for each institution. They evaluate differently. But I will share that if you have no more than 2 deficiencies, that cannot be in math and lab science. So you could have a deficiency, let's say, in math and English, and you can have a deficiency in science and maybe US history, but it cannot be both in math and science. Then you could fall into that comprehensive review if you fall within those deficiencies and you're below that 3.0, which basically means you then go into that individual review process where our admissions team at each of our institutions will then evaluate that student individually. Test scores, as you can see on this screen, are optional. They are not required. However, I always encourage students, for all three of us, if you've taken the ACT or the SAT, submit scores. I have seen it make a world of a difference for certain students at NAU. Everybody, again, uses those scores differently, but I do not see that it has ever hurt students. We as a tri-university will use those scores to help students, but we will never use them in any way, shape, or form to harm students, especially when it comes to admission and merit-based scholarships. So if you have them or if you're planning to take the ACT or the SAT, definitely do so and send those scores, but just know that they are optional and they are not required as part of the admissions process. All right, and then on to our next slide. So what do you need for your application? So all we will need is your demographic information. So that's your first name, last name, date of birth, social security number, mailing address, a great email address. And I like to really hone in on the email address because students often will use their student high school email address, which is great because you'll have access to that while you are currently in high school, but once you graduate, you will no longer have access to it. So having a really good personal email address that you will check and have access to is really, really important at the time of applying. And then, of course, your high school courses. So making sure that you have your in-progress transcripts in front of you or easily accessible so that you can then report your classes. On each of our applications, and then that application fee or fee waiver. So each institution has a different process for fee waivers. At NAU, we do not have a fee for Arizona State students. So you just complete the Arizona in-state application and you will not be prompted to pay. However, ASU and U of A do have an application fee waiver built into their application. So you'll want to make sure you go through the application kind of slowly so you don't miss that last portion where that built-in application fee waiver is. So you can then select the best option that describes your circumstance, and then you will then have your app fee waived. All right, so again, here it is, application fees. Like I said, ASU, the question is built in, NAU, free app for Arizona in-state, and then Arizona is the waiver is already built in, also similar to ASU's. So I mentioned in a few slides that you want to have those in-progress transcripts. So we, the applications for all three of us are super easy. They're super quick. They don't take a lot of time. They give you the opportunity to self-report. So again, having those in-progress transcripts is really, really important. We do not require mid-semester transcripts, so we don't need a transcript sent to us the moment that you apply. If you self-report, please self-report. This really does expedite the admissions decision process. So you could get an admissions decision as quickly as 1 to 2 days versus having to wait weeks to be evaluated because we're looking for your transcript. So do not send transcripts, have those sent to us once you graduate. Those are the only transcripts that we need. This is really like the incentive for some students because they want to get that admissions decision quicker. And then that also helps kind of put you in that same line or wait for financial aid packaging. So the sooner you can get all of that squared away, then you can kind of jump into the next step, which is that financial aid awarding. All right, and so I know I've covered quite a bit of information. You probably have questions and you want to reach out to maybe ASU, maybe NAU, maybe U of A. Feel free to take a picture of this slide, write down these websites if you'd like. We do have our priority dates listed here for FAFSA. So FAFSA, I believe, is opening in December. So we each have our priority dates outlined here. For ASU, as you heard, it's January 15th. For NAU, it is April 1st. And for the University of Arizona, it is April 1st as well. Our Find Your Rep websites are also listed here for all three of us. And if you'd like to schedule a campus visit, come check out campus, get a feel for it before you make a decision, which I highly, highly encourage you to do so. You can definitely go through that link and schedule your visit there.
Awesome. Thank you
all
so much, Monique. All right. Such great information. We know that there was a lot to take in here. So I can't remember if I mentioned this before, but this is recorded, and we will be sure to send out the recording for you all.